Today is week 2 of our series Missionary, and we wanted to continue going around the city and shooting different locations where people in our church have been a missionary to our city. And so we thought we would start out today at Wachovia. Wachovia is where we bank as a church. And Wachovia is where Matthew was a missionary to one of the tellers named Michelle. See, week after week, as Matthew came and he made our deposits here at the bank, he built a relationship with Michelle. He struck up conversation with her, and he told her about this awesome new church that he was a part of. And he would invite Michelle to come to church. And one Sunday, she actually did. She showed up with her husband and her sister. And soon she was inviting her mom, and she invited her other sister, and they invited their co-workers. And Michelle absolutely fell in love with our church family. And not long after, we gave a message about giving your life to following Jesus, surrendering your life to following Christ, and Michelle responded, and she was baptized, and now she is on fire for Christ. And that happened because Matthew was a missionary to Michelle, because Matthew was a missionary to Wachovia. I'm here at an apartment complex in Raleigh to tell you about how Jim was a missionary to Cashel. You see, one Sunday after church, Jim felt the calling to be a missionary to the neighborhoods around our theater. And so he left church and he went across the street to Champion Court condominiums, and he knocked on the door of 2301. And when he knocked on the door, Cashel answered. And Cashel invited Jim to come in, and Jim proceeded to tell Cashel how he could have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. And you see, Cashel had never heard this before because Cashel had grown up in a Hindu background. And Cashel was intrigued by this idea, and he came to our church services the next Sunday. And so he continued to hear about having a relationship with God through Jesus on Sunday mornings, and then he met a guy named Mike. And Mike invited him to his young adult life group, and he began to join community. He began to build relationships with other believers. He began to see this relationship with God lived out in people's lives and community. And finally, he reached the point to where he wanted to totally surrender his life to Christ and be baptized. But you see, he didn't even want to wait till Sunday. He wanted to be baptized immediately. So Mike took him to his house and baptized him in his bathtub. And since then, Cashel has become an integral part of our church. And God is working in huge ways in his life. And that only happened because Jim was a missionary to Cashel's neighborhood. I'm here at the former home of Mike and Sarah Shillinglaw, where Mike was a missionary to his sister Sarah. See, Mike was passionate about Sarah knowing Christ, and he would do whatever it took. He would tell Sarah all the time about how she could have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. He even gave her a Bible for a Christmas present. He would bribe her into coming to church by promising free food afterwards. But it wasn't until he started having a life group at his house that things really started to change. You see, when Sarah would come home from work, she would come home and this life group would be meeting in their living room. And the people in that life group, they would go out of their way to talk to Sarah and to build a relationship with Sarah. And they even invited Sarah to come to a lake house with them to spend the weekend. And it was during that weekend that Sarah built some incredible relationships. It was there that Sarah saw the love of Christ in these people's lives, and she said that I want what they have. And soon after, on a Sunday morning, she decided to totally surrender her life to Christ and be baptized. And Mike had the privilege of getting to baptize his own sister. Sarah knows Christ because Mike was a missionary.